Okay, I'm going to start out this meeting. My name is Nick Germer. This is my 5th year at Rigby Middle School. It's about my 9th or 10th year teaching band overall, and I'm really happy to be here. I hope to be here for about 10 more years, and it's that good of a job. I like it. I like being here. I just got a master's degree in 2016 in music education. And so I feel that I'm qualified to teach this, and I've decided no more schooling until I can pay off some student loans. Anyway, it's a good deal. So you all have a packet. The first 2 pages, front and back, TLDR, that stands for too long didn't read. We're happy that you're investing in your child's music education. It's good for them. Help them do it well, and we'll be happy. We're going to jump over to page 3, though. So in page 3, we're going to talk about 3 things that I believe your student needs for musicianship. So it's basic stuff, but this is my philosophy of teaching. The student needs an instrument and time to practice and a desire to learn. Those 3 things can support, something on top of it. Without those 3 things, if you're missing one, it falls down. A student the progress may be slow or stopped if you're missing one of those things. So we're going to talk about those 3 things right now. We're going to talk about instruments. This is a big deal because, your student is learning to play a new instrument. Welcome. And so here are some ways that your student might acquire an instrument. If you have your own, then great, bring that. Okay. Borrow from a relative or friend. You can also rent an instrument from Chesbro Music. Here's their phone number. It's written on there. Piano Gallery. They have rent-to-own options. Yes. Piano Gallery, they sell band instruments. They rent band instruments. This was news to me a few years ago. I was like, wait, you just do pianos? They do more than that. So they're both good, though. I recommend both of them. On September 12th, from 5 to 7 p.m. in the RMS cafeteria, they will be coming to Rigby Middle School, and they will be renting out band instruments and selling books and other accessories. So if you come then, they'll have the same deals that they have at their stores. Just they come to you, and you don't have as much driving. Plus, their hours are strange, and so it's hard to catch them open. They close at 6, I think. And so for us to get down to Idaho Falls in their open hours, it's tricky. Or you can buy them new or used. I want you to beware. If you go on Amazon, you might see trumpets brand new for $200. And you get what you pay for. If you're paying $200, that's a really low price for a trumpet, and you'll get problems with that trumpet down the way. Now, I've had a student with those. I've had a few students come in with those instruments, and for $200, they make it work. And so it's up to you. I leave it up to you. I'm not going to judge you or your student if you happen to buy one of these cheap instruments. I'm not going to judge. But I will let you be aware that they're low quality. They usually come in really fun colors like pink and razzle blue. They're on Amazon. We've seen sometimes they have good reviews, but all these reviews are coming from people who don't know better, and so that's how those instruments are presented on Amazon. All right, we do have school instruments. We have a high number of 6th grade students in band this year. I have a limited number of school instruments to rent for an affordable price. Because of the low supply of instruments and high demand of students who need them, the new thing this year is these school instruments rentals are reserved for those with the highest need. So, how do you show that you are in need of one of these instruments? You fill out this form. So, you go to this form. See what happens if I click on it. Yeah, I should have tested all this beforehand. Here we go. Come on, mama. And here comes a form that you fill out your email address, the parent name, parent email, student name, student grade, phone number, which instrument do you prefer to rent? And these are the options. You'll notice that there's no percussion and there's no saxophones. That's because we don't have bell kits, we don't have saxophones in the school right now. And then explain why you need to rent an instrument from the school. You can say, hey, we don't make much money and we need to rent a school instrument. The reason why somebody would rent a school instrument is because they are a lot less expensive rentals. They're $50 for 3 trimesters. So that's a lot less expensive than Chesbro or Piano Gallery could offer. Okay? So if you can't put in this link, you can just email me a form request to this, and I will reply with this link if you want to do it that way. I'm sorry I don't really have a good way. This is also on our band website. I'll write that down right now. We have a band website. I do my best to keep it up to date, but you can simply Google Rigby Middle School Band, and then we are the first hit. It is Rigby Middle School band.weebly.com. And where is this information? I'll try to put this information at the page called Forms. All right. So the school does not have saxophones or percussion bell kits to rent. School rental price is $50 for 3 trimesters. So let's go back. Are there any questions so far about the stuff we've covered about how to get an instrument? Any questions so far? Okay, we're going to continue on. So, beginning band instruments. These pictures are for people who are unfamiliar. This is a trumpet, this is a trombone, this is a euphonium or baritone. They're really similar. Trumpets and cornets are really almost the same thing. They play the same way. They have basically the same sound. Sometimes I can't tell the difference between cornets and trumpets just by listening. Okay, they sound very similar. The difference is their shape. One's a little bit shaped differently. Same thing with euphonium and baritone. But these are the brass instruments. They have the same fingering patterns, which makes it easier for me to learn. When I play trumpet, I can learn how to play trombone. I can also learn how to play euphonium. We don't have tuba on there. I reserved that for 7th and 8th graders. And they can switch to it later. Beginning band instruments. These are woodwind instruments. Woodwinds are anything you blow over a hole or past a wooden reed. We've got a flute, clarinet, and saxophone. The interesting thing about saxophone is that we start kids off on flutes and clarinets, and then in the 2nd trimester, those kids can, if they choose, they can switch to saxophone in the 2nd trimester. I start kids on clarinet and flutes and not the saxophone because for a few reasons. A lot of band directors do this, and then they do this because it gives the student more flexibility that he or she will need later on. When they get into high school, the band director likes for them to, hey, you were playing clarinet, I need you to play saxophone. You were playing saxophone, I need you to play clarinet. Okay, the band director does this, and it's beneficial for the students. Saxophone is a very easy instrument to learn compared to these two. And so I start them off on something a little more complex, and we go to something simpler. And also, we usually have a load of students wanting to play saxophone. And so this honestly is a way to sort of slim down that number of kids. We don't do well having a band that's overloaded with saxophone students. It doesn't sound good, so we do some things to try to limit that number of saxophone players. It looks like the cool instrument to play, yes. So, I don't discourage kids from playing it. Okay, it's a fun instrument. I play it, but we do try to balance out the band as well. Okay. So, students start out with flute and clarinet, and then they can switch to alto saxophone or tenor saxophone. They can switch to any saxophone they want. All the saxophones have the same fingering. The saxophone and flute have very similar fingering, and the clarinet in its upper register has similar fingering to these as well. So that's a cool thing about woodwinds is they share similar fingerings. All right, percussion students. They're expected to have this lovely thing. This is called a bell kit. What's it called? Bell kit. Yeah, that's a little thing that I do to teach. Okay, this is called a bell kit. It has a set of bells, a stand, pad. Sometimes bell kits will come with an actual snare drum. We don't need that. All we need is a pad and sticks. This case has wheels. It's nice to roll around. Bus drivers have complained that these are too large to transport on buses. It's usually the case that students, they don't need to bring this to school. They can keep this at home. The purpose of this is to give the percussionists something to practice at home. Okay, they'll have instruments to play here. We have bells. We have a lot of percussion instruments here they can play. This can usually stay home. Once in a while, we might need students to bring it to school, and it's kind of awkward. They can hold it on their lap. It's about the size of a suitcase, a small suitcase, and it's not too heavy, I think. The cool thing about this is it has a pocket for their music, so I think these are cool, and it has wheels. Not all the cases come with all that stuff, so that's a cool thing about the bell kits. Now, there's a lot of other stuff to think about with percussion. Percussion is not just hitting the drums. Okay, it's much more than that. Percussion, they deal a lot with a piano keyboard, such as what you will see on top of a piano. The xylophone, the bells, the marimba, the vibraphone, these instruments all have the same patterns as a piano. And so, I'm only taking about 10 kids as percussionists for 6th grade band. If your kid wants to play percussion, the best thing he or she can do is to show me how well he or she knows the piano keyboard. I'm looking for, can he find a C? Can he find a C sharp on the piano? Can he find all of these different notes? Can he play something on the piano? Because the piano can switch over to percussion really fast, really, really well. Make sure I'm on the right track. Many kids choose drums thinking it'll be easy, when later they find that it is not. It requires more self-discipline and piano skills. I take 10 beginners. They'll be chosen based on perceived attitude, hand coordination, and piano lesson experience, if any. If a kid wants to play percussion, this kid needs to be somebody who I can say, I need you to play the triangle, and that kid will say, yes, sir. I need students who will do as they're told on percussion. Because it's tough when all the percussionists want to play the snare drum and nobody wants to play the triangle or the shaker, you know. It's tough. We need to have kids who are ready to play these other things. I trained percussionists to be well-rounded, flexible musicians that are happy to play a triangle or bell set if necessary, but they're also apt to play the snare or bass drum at my request. I do not take students who say they just want to play the drums. Percussionists have the funnest toys, but there's setup and takedown duties for which they will have time. I had a percussionist who had a hard time remembering to put his stuff away, and he got in trouble for this because I had to pick up after him. Not a good thing to do. Percussionists are required to have a bell kit to practice at home. Percussionists are required to have their own mallets. Appropriate mallet kits come with bell kits or can be purchased from music stores in Idaho Falls or online. Percussion is fun, but not easier than other instruments. All right, any other questions about percussion? Okay, you guys are good. We're going to move on. Other instruments not mentioned above will be options at later times for students. Okay. The second thing they need is time to practice. I recommend at least 10 minutes of practice per day. A better rule is 30 minutes per day. That's great. You won't always get that, and that's okay. Practice time is more effective, spread out over many days, than cramming it all into one day. So 10 minutes a day for 6 days is much better than 60 minutes one day, okay? So I used to do practice cards. I don't do that anymore. I give kids practice goals, and they practice as long as they need to achieve those goals. All right, as a parent, you can assist your child in finding time to practice music. We all get busy with school, work, church, but one thing remains constant. We prioritize the important things and make time for them. Students who practice will generally improve faster than students who do not. My older brother, he's one of those kids who could play a bunch of cool stuff without practicing anything, right? And he made all-state jazz band. He was one of the trombone players in all-state jazz band. And I just learned this recently. He never learned his note names. And I never made all-state jazz band as a trumpet player growing up. I just didn't have maybe what it takes growing up back then. I practiced. I wasn't the best practicing student, but I did learn my note names. And here I am teaching music professionally, and he's working at Apple. All right. True story. Okay. So time to practice. You can be the parent, okay? You can assist your child finding time to practice. Sometimes you have to be the parent to help kids practice, and it may be hard. I believe there are more distractions for kids today than ever. So, be the parent, not the friend. Say, time to practice before you can do your video games or TV or go to the movies and stuff. All right, next one, desire to learn. I didn't really know what to write about this. It's clear that we cannot force our kids to want to learn. We can give them incentive to aspire to become better. Honestly, this is where your best parenting skills may succeed or fail. You cannot always get your kids to want to learn, to want to be better. Okay? And, don't we all know it? So, be creative out there. Good luck. And if you fail, there's a lot of parents right in that class, okay? I've got my own kids struggling to getting them. Yeah, I have a daughter who, she was begging to play violin lessons, to take violin lessons. So we got her signed up, and a week later, I don't want to play violin anymore. Yes you do. Okay. All right, there are events. These events are located at the middle school page, middle school web page. So the page will be called Events. These are all current events. It's all up to date. And so if you want to come take a picture of it, that's cool. I turned on some lights so you can kind of see this better, but that's as bright as it goes.
You said that is posted on that webpage?
Yep. Yeah, you go to this webpage, and maybe I'll show you after this. This PowerPoint's almost done. And I'll go to the webpage and show you where to click on stuff. It's a fun webpage. All right. Anybody else need more time? Okay, we're going to move on. Other things. Armin's Band provides students with a 3-brad folder for music. I don't have one handy, but it's just a simple 50-cent folder. It has 3 brads. It has 2 pockets. Okay, your student will be provided with one of these. But if you want to bring your own folder, that's up to you. We use sheet protectors for the music. Pencil, pencil, pencil. No pen. We always use pencil because you can erase. And I love kids being able to erase. I hate it when they mess up with pen and they have to cross it out and it gets messy. And I like them to be organized and efficient with their notes. So pencil, pencil, pencil. I provide pencils, but they have to leave a collateral like a shoe. Okay? You can always come here and get a pencil. They have to leave a shoe, and not all of them want to do that. Okay? They get self-conscious, and that's okay, but it reminds them to give it back. So, not a new idea. Okay, I'm going to go to the website really quick. So just to show you, you can Google it, Rigby Middle School Band, and when you Google those 4 words, here it is, top of the list. Click on that, and yay, here's our new website. Okay. There's something here about smart music. You can look at that and read about it later. It's fun. It's cool. Music lessons. I've been training a few juniors and seniors in high school to teach beginning music lessons. I recommend students take music lessons. Okay. If they can't, I recommend smart music. If they can't do that, we have some other options as well. All right, so here's the top of the page. These 3 lines, you click on it, and there's all these different pages. Here's where you can learn about RMS Band. You can learn about all the different bands, learn about me, where I come from. You can contact me. There's this email form right here. I get those emails right when you send them. Here's the events webpage, and here's the events. It's all current. And then documents, most of what you read is here in the documents section. There's a letter to parents. There's a mallet percussion stick requirements right here. What kind of sticks do I need for percussion? If your kid's not doing percussion, don't worry about that. All right. This is where RMS Band videos. These are beginning videos on how to open up your case, how to get the first few notes out of your instrument. We go over these one at a time at the beginning of school. And then this blog is for when we play music. They can find this music here. It's been performed before, and you don't really need that yet. So one more thing. Forgot what I was about to say. Oh yeah, our band instrument rental night is September 12th. So your students do not need instruments until September 13th. Okay, this is the rental night. They need instruments after this. So you have some time to decide what instrument your student wants to play. You have time to think about that. And on September 12th, you can actually choose the instrument, rent it, or such. What are we going to do before that? We're going to be spending time on fundamentals of music reading. We're going to play some fun games of music reading. We're just going to do a lot of music literacy. We're going to talk about the different instruments, and we're going to do some airflow exercises. We'll be doing a lot of stuff without instruments before then. So that's a new thing this year. Usually I would get kids on instruments before that, but I'm trying a new thing, and I'm copying another successful band by doing this, so I kind of know what I'm doing, kind of. All right, questions or comments? No comments, just questions, just kidding. Yes?
Question.
This is right.
I wasn't in band.
That's okay.
Is piano playing part of band?
Piano is a part of playing in jazz band. However, our piano music in jazz band is very hard. It requires about a level 5, grade 5 music. So when you're going through the piano books, there's grade 1 and 2. The stuff we do in jazz band is about level 5. Same with guitar. Guitar requires about 5 or 6 years of experience. I don't know why it's that way. For all the other wind instruments, it's like 1 year of experience required, but for those other instruments, and then so for cadet band, concert band, symphony band, for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade band, it's not jazz band. we generally don't have piano music. Our band music does not have a piano part. Yeah, so if it has any sort of keyboard part, it'll be marimba or bells or a xylophone or vibraphone, those types of things. Yeah. Yes?
You talk about this Essential Elements Book 1. Do you have the whole publisher information about that? So can you buy it on Amazon besides
Yes.
Tesro's?
Yes, you can buy it on Amazon. I've seen them on Amazon for selling for a penny. Sometimes they sell for 1 cent plus shipping, like $4 shipping. Okay? They sometimes do that. Yes, you can buy these books on Amazon. However, around this time of year, they're not going to be 1 cent. I think this is the time of year that they're going to be selling for higher. But yeah, you could find good prices for those books on Amazon. They look like this. Well, this is book 2. But it says Essential Elements for Band. And it'll have the instruments right here. So if you're getting it for trumpet, it'll say B-flat trumpet right up here. Okay? Yeah. If you have questions, just email me. And yes?
All of this is available that night on September 20th.
Yes. It'll all be available there.
What's the time? We don't have to rent an instrument before that? Or,
You do not.
and they'll have enough available?
Yes, they'll have plenty. I've told them how many students I have, and they're excited. All right, so it's from 5 to 7 p.m. I've already had two parents fill out the forms to rent band instruments, so I'm expecting a lot more. I want to get all of them before I start making decisions on who gets what. I'll probably make a decision a week before September 12th on who gets what school band instruments. Okay? Yes?
Do you have your own instrument you use that night?
No. You can get your own stuff any way you want. Yeah. Okay, back there in the blue.
What if you already chose the clarinet? Would they be able to change that?
If you already chose clarinet, you can stay on clarinet. We always need good clarinetists. Yeah, I love the clarinet. It's really fun to play. I'll play some for you in bands, and yeah, it's a little finicky. If the temperature's not just right, it might say, "No, I'm not playing for you today." No, I'm exaggerating.
You mentioned music lessons. Do you suggest that throughout the year with band, or was that summer?
I recommend throughout the year.
And you're thinking not like piano, but whatever instrument they're playing?
Yeah, so if your student has been taking piano lessons, it's a good thing to take lessons on their instrument.
Do you have a list of instruments?
So the problem is that nobody knows who teaches what. And from what I've learned, there's hardly no percussion or wind teachers in Rigby. So I've been trying to fix that I gave a big training to some juniors and seniors, high school students, on how to teach beginning lessons. There were 12 that came to my training, and they all said, yes, I do want to teach lessons. So I'm still waiting for them to sort of do their homework and prove to me that they're ready to teach lessons. They need to show me like a flyer of them teaching lessons. They have to just basically show me that they want it. They want to do it. Okay, they've told me they want to do it, and so I'm now saying, well, if you want to do it, give me a flyer or add yourself. I've tried to start a directory of music teachers in Rigby, and so far I only have 10 teachers on there. I expect there's more like 50, mostly piano teachers, but when it comes to teaching music lessons, few people know who teaches what, I teach all of this, all of the instruments, and I took about 30 students over the summer, but during the school year, I can only take about 12, and my list is already full. So I teach all the instruments, except for strings. I don't teach bagpipes or harmonica or accordion. No, I don't teach that. Okay, oboe, no. That's for the Butterfields. Yeah. And she should, she might need to get on that of presenting. I want to teach, but yes.
Okay, so if you have a student that wants to do the saxophone, we're renting a clarinet first.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I've spoken with Chesbro and Piano Gallery, and they've confirmed to me that if they want to play, if they want to rent a clarinet or flutes before saxophone, they can make that switch happen. They used to have a term of like, I think they said 4 months at first. Oh no, they have to stick with that one instrument for 4 months before they switch. But I convinced them to change their ways. So it's now going to be, they play the clarinet or flutes for our first trimester, and then around the end of November, you go to them and say, all right, we're trading it in for a sax. And they trade some of the equity. They don't. You'll have to ask them on this. You build equity as you make rental payments, and some of the equity will transfer over to the other instruments. It's not 100% of the equity transfers over. So good question. Yes?
In that case, also, we'll have to get clarinet at the beginning or flute. And then around November, when they switch, get the saxophone. Is that correct?
Yeah. Have you ever sold books on Amazon? You can sell books on Amazon. And a lot of times you can get about the same amount that you paid for it. And I've done it a lot. I've sold a lot of books. And I'm not a professional at this, but you can create a seller account. You can sell all those old textbooks for hundreds of dollars. And I've done that. I've made quite a bit of money on Amazon by selling my old textbooks. They don't always sell, but because stupid publishers come out with new editions. Okay. Yeah, but it usually works. And I could also find other, so I know that's a challenge, and I'm asking you to be creative with that challenge. Thank you. Yes?
Is there going to be room in here for them to keep their instrument throughout the day?
Yes, we have a large instrument locker storage room back there.
So they just come get it after school?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yes. If they have clarinets or flutes, they are welcome to keep those small instruments in their lockers. The lockers have locks. These instruments, they don't have locks. Our security system, we have 2 cameras that point both directions in that instrument locker room. We haven't had problems with any theft. We had one problem in my 4 years of being here. We did have one problem of theft, and that thief properly returned the instrument on the doorstep of the students faster than we could check the surveillance. Okay. We had one instance of a kid going through an instrument, like, what's in here, you know? And we reviewed the surveillance, we caught the kid, and we were able to have a serious talking to with that student. So that's the security of our instrument locker room. There's just cubbies for them to put their instruments in, but there's plenty of room. Okay? I have students write their names on their instrument cases so that instruments are not accidentally taken. You know, I've had that happen where, you know, there's these 2 cases of saxophones. The cases are almost identical, and a kid takes the wrong saxophone home. You know, and we notice it. Oh, so and so took the wrong saxophone home. So we call them up, and oh, whoops, and they return it, and we solve the problem that way. So I admit it's not the best security system, but it's been working for 4 years, and right now we don't have plans to improve it yet. I'm thinking next year we get some serious locks for those things. Other questions? Or did I answer your question? Okay, good. All right, well, I'm going to call it good right there. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to have a great time. I love teaching these bands. It's going to be a great year. I have some great plans and more organization than previous, as always. Go to the website and enjoy it. Yeah. Thank you very much.